Cal American Water's External Affairs Manager, who has served in this capacity since 2008. He has been very successful in representing his company in Los Angeles County, San Diego County, and Ventura County. He holds a political science degree from Whittier College and is currently a candidate for his master's degree at the Claremont Graduate School. He currently serves on the board of directors of the Coronado Chamber of Commerce and is currently chairman of the board of the Imperial Beach Neighborhood Center. He also serves in a substantial number of other civic organizations. It's a long list. Trust me, this man has some whiskers. He will speak on California's drought, water use guidelines, and water use. So, Brian, take it away.
Thank you for that very nice introduction. My name is Brian Bretto. I'm very honored to be here. I'd like to say thank you to Kirk for the opportunity to brief you. And then also I'm very happy to be in front of you. I believe all of you are our customers, California American Water customers. Is that anybody not one of our customers? Oh, okay, great. What I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to go over a couple of slides. I got about 15 slides to go through. And then at the end, I'd love to entertain any of your questions that you may have. And then we can have I'll be around this later afterwards to have a discussion with anybody that wants to have a conversation afterwards as well. So I'm going to share a little bit of information just to talk about California American Water, drought conditions, the rules that are currently in place. I know there's been a lot of different news stories about what we can do, what we can't do, what's going on with the guidelines that the governor has put into place. How does that impact us as a water utility, and how does that impact you as our customers and the residents of the city of Coronado? And then share some resources that we have. We have a great conservation team, staff here that works out of our Imperial Beach office. They're very smart. They're very tied into water saving practices. And there's a lot of free programs that you as our customers can take advantage of. I hope some of you have taken advantage of them, and hopefully you learn something new about some of the programs we have. So which way? This way. So who is California American Water? We're the 4th largest regulated water utility in the state. And as you can see, I think this is a pretty good snapshot here on the right-hand side here. We provide water as far north as Placer County, north of Sacramento, and then as far south as San Diego County, Coronado, Imperial Beach, and we serve the city of San Diego as well. As Kirk mentioned, my responsibility as the External Affairs Director, I cover our Ventura County District, our Los Angeles County District, and our San Diego County District. So I have a very wide footprint. And I like to say I live in the Bermuda, I travel between the Bermuda Triangle because I live in Los Angeles, and I travel to Ventura and I travel to San Diego. I'm here in Coronado and Imperial Beach probably about 8 to 10 days out of the month, depending on my schedule and responsibilities down here. So as you can see, we have over 300 people that work at California American Water. We treat about 122 million gallons of water daily. And we have a very large investment. We invest an estimated about $85 million back into our system, meaning that the pipes, the valves, the fire hydrants throughout all of our water systems. And that's how we earn a rate of return on what we put into the ground. We don't earn any money on the water that we actually provide to you as customers. We get our rate of return based on what we invest back into the system, which is a different business model. And then you can see we established one of the first low-income assistance programs in 1996 in the state of California. And if customers are on the CARE program, which is the California CARE program, they're automatically enrolled into our low-income program. It's a great program. It helps subsidize a portion of your water bill. It's about 25% of your bill that you get written off, which is, as I mentioned, we're one of the first utilities to do that in the state here. Our San Diego County District, we have been serving this area, Imperial Beach, Coronado, and the city of San Diego for more than 60 years. We get all of our water from the city of San Diego, who purchases their water from the San Diego County Water Authority. What purchased water is it means it's imported water. It's water that comes from two sources, comes from the Colorado River, and it also comes from the San Joaquin Sacramento Delta. So there's water that's pumped all the way down from Sacramento, comes through the valley, comes over the Grapevine. The Metropolitan Water District puts it into their system, and then they move the water down to the San Diego County into the San Diego County Water Authority system, and then it goes to the city of San Diego and then goes to us. I like to say, I mentioned this to Kirk and I mentioned this to the two young ladies over here, we're at the end of the pipe, literally at the end of the pipe because of how far the water comes from north to south and east to west. What else? We have 24 employees. I like to say we have a very lean system. You've probably seen our trucks out in your community. We only have 24 employees that manage and run the systems for us. Our operations manager, his name is Robert Becerra. He's the guy that manages the team, that pushes the levers, pushes the buttons, spins the wheels, pulls the levers to make water go through the system that goes to your houses and goes to your businesses. We have two connections with the city of San Diego. One is the Trans Bay. There's I think it's a 25-inch pipe that goes underneath the bay from the city of San Diego, and it comes up right at the end of Orange Avenue right there. So water comes from the city that way. We also have another connection on Palm Avenue out by the 5 freeway, or the 805 freeway, excuse me. And so water comes east to west into Imperial Beach and then comes up the Strand. So it's a great system because we have the ability to move water in multiple directions. Should there need to be a shutdown, or should there be any challenges in the system, or when we're doing maintenance on the system. These next couple of slides I find very fascinating. And if you take a look at this slide is from the U.S. Drought Monitor. This slide was taken, the data from this was in July of 2022. And if you take a look at this picture, it shows that about 70% of the state, almost close to 80% of the state in January was in severe drought. The most northern part of the state was experiencing some extreme drought. And then if you see right down here, this is San Diego County. At that point, we were in moderate drought, which is and this is updated on a monthly basis. And then the next slide, I'll show you, this is current day. And as you can see, it has completely changed. And this is because we had a dry winter. We're having even a more dry summer, which is, and you can now see that about 80% of the state is in extreme drought. Well, I'll take a pause while they go off and do while the sirens go by. So this is really telling, and you've heard the governor and the State Water Resource Control Board has implemented mandatory conservation measures, asking for a 20% reduction across the state. And there's lots of questions that have come about in Los Angeles County. The Metropolitan Water District, which is the wholesaler up there, has implemented a one-day watering week schedule for all of their member agencies and all of the customers in their region. And fortunately, that hasn't impacted us here because we are not part of the Metropolitan Water District's member agencies here in Southern California, or here in the San Diego region. So we're not, that watering schedule is not, does not pertain to this region, which is great. I like to say we dodged a bullet. And as I mentioned, we're 100% purchased water. And then in January of this year, the State Water Resource Control Board and the governor asked all water utilities and all customers in the state, because of the drought, because of the low precipitation, to implement a 20% reduction in water use. In January of this year, it was a voluntary measure. And then what happened is in May, they came back and said, okay, you need to implement mandatory measures. So we are currently in mandatory conservation measures. So what does that mean? Prior to us being in stage 2, I'll go to the next stage. We are currently in stage 2. We moved from stage 1 to stage 2 in March. I misspoke, excuse me. And what that means is the 3-day watering schedule, which is on the next slide, used to be voluntary, but now it's mandatory. And we're asking customers to water outdoors, use their irrigation systems only 3 days a week. There is an interesting phenomenon. About 70% of our water that we use at our homes is for outdoor irrigation, which is a huge number if you think about it. And unfortunately, lawns are thirsty. There are plants and trees that have been brought to Southern California, the San Diego region, Los Angeles County, Ventura County, that are not indigenous to California, and they take a lot of water. So what we're asking customers to do is be mindful of their water use. Please make sure that you check your irrigation controllers, if you have a gardener, talk to your gardener, make sure that they understand what's going on with the drought, make sure that they know that there's a 3-day watering schedule. We also have resources for you that I'll mention, but if you don't know how to use your water controller, your gardener doesn't know how to use it, I would encourage you to contact us, contact me. I can put you in contact with our conservation team, and we have directions for hundreds of water controllers, and we're happy to provide them to you, or come to your house and help you reprogram it to meet the 3-day watering week schedule. So when the governor and the State Water Resource Control Board implemented mandatory measures, what does that mean for California American Water? Well, every water utility has a water shortage contingency plan. Ours is 5 stages. We have stage 1 through stage 5. Stage 5 is the most stringent of the water use restrictions. We're currently in stage 2. Rule 14.1 and Schedule 14.1, those are the rules that the Public Utility Commission outlines for us what we can implement as we go through each stage. As we move from each stage, we have to go to the Public Utilities Commission for approval, for them to say, yes, you can move from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3, and et cetera. We just can't move from one stage to another without guidance from the State Water Resource Control Board. So, we can't just get up and in May just decide, okay, we're going to move from stage 2 to stage 3 or stage 1 to stage 2. There has to be a regulatory agency, State Water Resource Control Board, or the governor will make a declaration or will pass a piece of guidelines that we must follow. So it's all very strategic. It's all regulated. And that's how we move from stage 1 to stage 2. And as I mentioned, we're in stage 2, which went into effect on March 12th of this year. I hope all of you received a direct mail piece from us. Show of hands, do you guys remember receiving a direct mail piece?
What?
A mailer. Did you get a mailer from us, a colorful mailer that talked about the watering schedule? You didn't? I'll talk with me afterwards. I'll make sure you get one. So the watering schedule, the new watering schedule that went into effect, we tweaked it a little bit. It's the mandatory schedule is now 3 days a week, odd number addresses Tuesday, Friday, Sunday, even number addresses Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, with no watering on Wednesday. To avoid evaporation, what we're asking our customers to do is water before 9 a.m. or after 8 p.m. As you know, between 10, 11, and 12, 2 o'clock in the afternoon is probably the hottest part of the day. There's lots of evaporation from regular sprinkler heads. Low flow irrigation systems, if you have a drip irrigation system in your planter beds or anywhere in your neighborhood or on your house, including drip and microspray, they're exempt. As long as they are less than 2 gallons per hour. And that's a great alternative to using traditional sprinkler heads. We do have a great rebate program. So if you're interested in changing out your sprinkler heads and putting low flow irrigation systems at your home, I would encourage you to do that. And you can get a great rebate. You get cash back from California American Water. You work with our conservation team. You fill out a very short application. You tell them what you're going to be doing. They approve it. you finish the project, and then you send us your receipts, and then we write you a check back to you, and you can just, it's a refund on a portion of the cost. It's a great program for us. The one thing I would say about this schedule, and I don't believe this is here in the city of Coronado, but for example, in our Los Angeles County District and our Ventura County District, there are some cities that have implemented more stringent regulations. So what I would ask you to do is just continue to monitor what the city is doing. I do know that the city of Coronado has not implemented any additional regulations, but if they do, what we would ask you is to please follow the city's regulations and the guidelines because they would supersede our guidelines. But at this point, that's not the case, which is good for us at this point.
Do you supply North Island?
We do not supply North Island, no. So rule 14.1, a lot of these rules you have seen before. Nothing's changed. They were the same rules that were implemented during the last drought. We ask that customers contain water on their property. Please make sure you have no runoff. Please check your irrigation systems. If you have sprinklers, make sure there's no overspray. They're not spraying your driveway. They're not spraying the curb and gutter. They're not spraying the sidewalks. If you have a leak, you notice you have a leak, we ask that you fix it within 72 hours. And if you're washing your vehicle at your house, please do it with a positive shutoff nozzle because that will, prevent any runoff. The one thing that I will say is if you need a new positive shutoff nozzle, contact us. We have them. You can pick them up for free. We can. Our utility workers will bring them to your house. We'll drop it off in a conservation bag. We'll drop it at your front door. We also have sink irrigators, low flow shower heads, toilet flappers. So if you notice that your toilet is starting to run all the time and you need a new toilet flapper, give us a call, send us an email. We'll make sure that we get one out to you. And then the other pieces, these are just sort of common sense guidelines that we ask our customers to abide by, which are outlined in our rule 14.1, as I mentioned. And then these next slides are also for some of the commercial businesses, hotels. I stated the Glorieta Bay Inn, and I know that they have a little sign in there that says, please, if you want your towel refreshed, put it on the floor. If you don't, please hang it back up. So it's great. This is great advice and guidance for our hotels and for all of the customers that come and spend time here at the hotels. I don't believe there's a commercial car wash here on the island. There is one.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for correcting me.
First,
Yep. We asked commercial car washes should be using a recycled pump system or a recycled water system under the new guidelines. There are still some commercial car washes that don't have recycled systems, and unfortunately those have had to be shut down or they've had to invest back into their system so that they can continue to run. And then excessive use of potable water for dust control or earth compaction. There's a lot of development that's been going on. Things here in the city and across our other district in the city of San Diego and Imperial Beach. We asked the developers to be very mindful not to use water to do dust compaction, which is a challenge. But that's one of the new guidelines that's been in place so far to this point. So what does that mean for you as a customer? There's these new guidelines. Am I going to get a fine? Am I going to get a nasty gram, a nasty letter? Is somebody going to come rat me out? California American Water, we prefer education over enforcement. And so what does that mean? So we follow up on any waste watering notification that we get. There's a way for you as a customer, if you see your neighbor, they have a bunch of overspray, they're watering their driveway and not their lawn just because they don't know. There's two sort of courses of actions that you have. One is I would encourage you to go to your neighbor and talk to your neighbor. Say, hey, do you know that your water system, your controllers, your sprinklers are watering my car, your car, and the driveway? Could you please adjust it? The other way is you can notify us. One of two ways. You can call our conservation hotline number, or you can go onto our conservation website. Right on the page, right at front and center, there's a way that you can anonymously put in information. You can say, hey, I noticed on C Avenue, so at this address, somebody was watering at 10 o'clock in the day, 10 o'clock in the middle of the day. You can take a picture, Everybody has a smartphone, right? Take a picture, you can upload the picture, and it'll go to our conservation team. Christina Saldana, who was supposed to be here, she can't be here, unfortunately. Her and her team are required to go out. They do an investigation. They take a look and see if they can actually identify the potential water use violation. And then they will follow up with the customer. They'll send a letter to the customer and say, hey, we've been notified that you potentially have a water use violation. This is what we've seen. Could you please remedy it within the next 72 hours, 48 hours? If it doesn't get remedied, they'll follow up with another letter. And it isn't until we get to the fifth letter or the fifth violation, which comes very quickly, could come very quickly, that we then implement a potential fine. But I can tell you this much, during the last drought, in the state of California, California American Water only issued 3 fines. So our customers, yourselves, you guys heed the message. We're really proud. And we feel that we're doing a good job. You guys are doing a good job. So we would encourage you to continue to do the good work that you're doing here. I can tell you that the last set of numbers that I saw for our San Diego County district, we were about 6% less water use than we were compared to January. So, which is good. We would encourage you to do a little bit more, but our entire system, we're about 18% down in terms of our water use. So we're doing great. But continue. Don't get lazy. Don't become lackadaisical. Just continue to help us so that we can continue to have water here in the state. Should we go to stage 3, which we hope that we don't go to, we would then implement additional surcharges, and or we would lower the water use, outdoor water use days. We would go from 3 days a week to 2 days a week, or potentially 1 day a week, should we get to that point. I don't suspect that we will. I hope that we don't, but we will take our lead from the governor's office and the State Water Control Board. And unfortunately, this drought is impacting everybody in the state of California. It's impacting people differently based on their region and based on where their source of water is from, and their supply, their storage, above ground storage or below ground water storage. So what can you do as a customer? How can California American Water help you? We have a very, as I mentioned, we have a very robust and aggressive conservation program and services. We have something called a home water use surveys. Has anybody had a home Waterwise survey? Yes, one of you, great. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was insightful. It's free to you. All of our conservation programs are free to you. The home water survey is a great survey program where you can call us, send us an email. We'll schedule somebody to come out to your home or your business. It's about a 45-minute, 50-minute survey. They'll go through your house, go through your business. They'll look at all your water use appliances, the washer, the sinks, and everything. They'll also do an assessment of your irrigation system. They'll turn it on. They'll look at your sprinklers. They'll look at the timer. They make sure that the timer is programmed appropriately. And then they'll write a report, and they'll send you that report, and that report will give you guidelines on how to be more efficient with your water use without impacting your daily life. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, I would encourage you to. It's a great program. I believe some of the council members have actually participated in it, and they find it very, very useful. So that's one way to do that. The other thing is, as I mentioned, we have free devices and free fixtures for all of you. You can call us up. You can go, if you're going through Imperial Beach, you can stop at our operations center, walk in and say, hey, I'm a California American Water customer. Here's my address. I'd love to get a toilet flapper or 2 toilet flappers. I'd love to get a low flow shower head. I'd love to get a positive shutoff nozzle for my hose, and they'll give them to you. They're free. If you want, you can contact Christina, and Christina can have them delivered to you as well. So this is another free program for you to take advantage of. How many of you have taken advantage of any of our free stuff? A couple of you, great.
Oh no, it was free.
Yeah, and the Flume program, right? Yeah, it's completely free. Yep. We also have commercial rebates, and I apologize, it's not up here, and residential rebates. As I mentioned, if you're changing out your dishwasher, or you're changing out your clothes washer, or you're changing out your toilet, you can get a rebate on that. What you would need to do is buy the appliance, fill out a very short application again, send the application in to Christina and her team, send a receipt in, and then we'll send you a check back for a portion of the cost of your new appliance at your home, which is another great program. And then, as I mentioned, we have the water waste reporting program. You can do it online. You can call our hotline directly. And I know it's a sensitive issue. You know, you don't want to, neighbors, you don't want to get into a he said, she said with your neighbors. But I will tell you this, all of the information that you provide us is proprietary and confidential. We do not disclose any information about who submitted a potential water waste report. And Christina and her team do follow up on all reports that do come in. So if you see something, it's that old saying, if you see something that doesn't look right, say something about it, so that we can continue to have water for future generations and potentially, you know, get ourselves out of this drought and we not have any problems going forward. And we don't want to go into any additional mandatory water restrictions or steeper water restrictions. To contact us, I hope all of you have visited our website. Our website's very easy, californiaamwater.com. This phone number here, this is our conservation hotline, 619-446-5707. This is the link to report water waste violations that you potentially see. If you just go to our California American website, click on conservation, scroll down to the San Diego County District, and it'll pop right up, and then you'll see the area where you can put in the waste violation. And this is my email address. If you don't want to do that and you just want to send me an email directly, I would encourage you to please reach out to me. My email address is brian.barretto@amwater. And my phone number is 626-388-7484. That's my mobile number. Please feel free to give me a call at any time. I have it with me 24 hours, 7 days a week. And I'm happy to answer any questions or any concerns that you have, or if you want to report a violation to me directly, I can take it all down and I can forward it to our team for their follow-up. And with that, I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Okay, let's have a 5-minute coffee break and a round of applause. Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Brian, your word. We'll have a question and answer period, and Michael Coronado has the mobile mic for the questions.
First question, Jerry Leonard.
Hello,
Thank
Jerry.
you, Brian, for a great presentation.
Sure.
My question is kind of a personal one. I live in a condo unit in First Avenue, 80-unit condos. We are underground, and therefore we have water running under our condo unit. It does not emanate from within the condo, and we would like to pump it out and filter it because we have to do something with it. But Cal-Am Water is being such a robber, and they're saying, well, no, you can do it, but it's a minimum of 10,000 gallons a day. Well, we do maybe 2,000 or something like that. And so we got 2,000, 2,500, 3,000 gallons a day going into the whatever. And we want to recycle it to pure water and put it into the sewer system. And yet you guys are charging exorbitant rates. Why? I know you don't have.
No, I heard. I'm aware of the dewatering that your condo association is doing, and I am going to put Tom in touch with our operations manager Robert Becerra, and also in touch with our engineering manager Mark Reifer, to start a discussion on potentially figuring out how we can work with your condo association and make sure that we're doing the right thing and you're doing the right thing. So
Well, I
n-
don't see how you're doing.
Well, we need to have the discussion. And I don't know that we've had that discussion, and maybe the discussions haven't been with the right people at our company. And I'm happy to make sure that we get you to the right person.
Next question, Jim Kelly.
Brian, thanks for coming. Can you talk about various water sources and particularly the future of distilled seawater?
Yeah, desalination is your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is, as you know, there is a big desalination project up in North County. Poseidon is the company that's managing that and is going through the approval process and developing that desalination project. The challenge here for us in our region here in San Diego County, the groundwater here is very brackish. There's a lot of seawater intrusion. And we've looked into, I know that we've looked into alternative sources. We're always looking for alternative sources. One of the questions that's always come up for us is, should we develop a potential treatment facility? Where would that be? What would that look like? Could we get water out of the basin? Could we treat it at a feasible cost to where it wouldn't be so exuberant price for our customers now? Right now, for us, we get water, it's probably about $2,800, maybe $2,700 an acre foot of water. That's the cost of us that we get water from the city of San Diego, who gets water from the San Diego County Water Authority. I do know that desalination, the cost to run a desal plant and an acre foot of water is almost 2 or 3 times more than that. And so there are some challenges to a desal project and a plant, but it is an alternative source. And I do know that there are all of the utilities in this area are always looking for other options to do that.
Would it be feasible to make it an option for those that wish to pay more?
That's a good question. We would have to go to, so for us, because we're an investor-owned water utility and we're regulated by the Public Utilities Commission, we would have to go to the Public Utilities Commission to get approval of that. They have some very good guidelines and there's a team of people that work at the Public Utilities Commission that are the Public Advocates Office, and they ensure that water utilities that are regulated by the PUC don't overcharge their customers. There's no rate shock. And I think we would have to have a discussion with the Public Utilities Commission to actually do that. I can tell you that we do have a desal plant project for our Monterey Peninsula customers. And it's been going through the approval process. It's in its final stages of approval because there is a cease and desist order and to pump from the Carmel River because of the lowering of the water in the Carmel River, and then because of the salmon as well. And so we're hoping that comes online, and that will be our first test, California American Water's first step into a desalination project, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll continue to have discussions on that point. Good question. Thank you.
Next question, Steve Clary. If you want to ask a question, raise your hand and I'll get to you.
Yeah, there's a few up here too.
I have the mic.
Okay.
A two-part, first one short. Brian, thanks for a great talk.
Sure.
The short one, the last time I heard you or your predecessor, I'm an old guy, talk, you said that only 5% of California water residential usage is recycled. Only 5%. Is that situation improved statewide?
I believe it has improved. I don't know what the exact number is, but I can get it for you. I do know that there are a number of communities, water utilities that have invested back into their system and developed recycled plants and recycled projects within it. I can tell you that you've probably read in the news, there is a proposal between the city of Coronado and California American Water to implement a recycled project here in the city that would be used. The water would be treated to tertiary level. That would the golf course, the medians along Orange Avenue, the sports fields, Spreckles Park, etc., which would be a huge relief on our system. So there is a proposal for that to do that. It's in the process. We're working with the city, and the city is taking a look at it. I do know that the city manager and the new public works director, they're looking into it, and we're having ongoing discussions with the city.
Next question.
Good question.
Hi there. I live in the Coronado Caves and I
Yes.
live in the private home area. And they're constantly ripping down homes and then putting up homes or doing something with them. And every day, because I walk my dog, they're out in the street at the end of the day and they're cleaning up the dirt from the street, which I assume they're required to do that. But is there some way of surcharging them during that process?
Are they using water
Yes. they
to
use-
water down the dirt and
Yes,
push
yes,
it away?
Yes, they are.
Let me follow up with you. That's something that they probably should not be doing given the current drought and the mandatory water conservation measures. Let me follow up with you and I can make sure that somebody comes out and takes a look and talks with the developer and find out exactly what's going on out there. We would be more than happy to go investigate. Okay, well, I'm happy to follow up with you.
Next question.
Great presentation. Can you detail for us the history of water rates in San Diego County?
Oh, that's a tough question. So I can share with you sort of historically how we set our rates. As I mentioned, we're regulated by the California Public Utilities Commission. Every 3 years, we are required to submit to the Public Utilities Commission what's known as a general rate case application. And what that does is that sets our rates and our budgets for a 3-year cycle. We just got approval for the 2021, 22, and 23, and we're in the process of filing for 24, 25, and 26. It's an 18-month-long process that we go through with the Public Utilities Commission. We file an application. There's data requests to come back from the Public Utilities Commission. There is testimony that we submit, and it's an open process, very transparent process. And you could follow it along either on the California Public Utilities Commission. You can come into our office and take a look at it. But what we try to do is we balance our rates with our needs, looking at what are the most needy sections of our infrastructure investment that we need to put back into the system. And the PUC is very, very good at making sure that there is no rate shock or sticker shock for our customers. I believe it was 2008, maybe 2009. California American Water implemented tiered rate structure or conservation minded rates, meaning we have a 4-tier rate structure. Prior to that, it was just a flat rate that all customers paid. And the State Water Resource Control Board, the legislature here in the state of California passed a piece of legislation that said that all water utilities needed to implement conservation measures or conservation tiered rate structure. And so that's what we have now in place. We have a 4-tier rate structure where if you use less water, you pay less. And as you go through each tier, your cost of water increases a little bit more. It's a conservation signaling process.
Next question.
So that's not a follow-up. I understand there's a process. My question was, what is the history of rates and what is likely to be the future rates of water in Southern California?
Unfortunately, water is just like any other commodity. The cost to run a system, the cost to put pipes in the ground, all of that, it increases. What are the specific rates?
Yeah.
I would have to get back to you on that. I'm happy to share that with you. I can give you my email and we can have a discussion on the history of the rates of California American Water and the region as a whole. I'm happy to share that with you.
The next
They've gone up.
The next question is John.
If everybody were magically somehow able to reduce their water usage to a bare minimum, causing a ceiling and loss of money to the water people, all the water businesses and companies, would there be a sizable increase in rates? I'm so pessimistic to 84, it's always follow the money.
Sure. Well, each water utility is structured differently. I can tell you, for example, for example, municipals that, for example, the city of Long Beach or the city of San Diego, their revenue is tied to how much water they sell. Our revenue is tied to what we invest back into the system. And so we have a rate of return that is guaranteed by the Public Utilities Commission. So we operate a little bit differently than other municipal water utilities or private water utilities. So unfortunately, metal resources that we use in our systems, the cost of it is going up. The thing that I would remind us is water is very heavy, right? And for us to move water from point A to point B takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of management from our staff. And so it takes a lot of electricity to move it from point A to point B. So as our costs go up, unfortunately, our rates go up, but with approval and guidelines from the Public Utilities Commission. I can tell you this, I've been working for the company for 12 years, and not once has the commission approved 100% of what we asked for. So they are very mindful. We do have a good working relationship with the Public Utilities Commission, but they do really spend a lot of time going through our application process and ensuring that our customers are not overcharged or they don't experience rate shock.
Next question.
Yeah, I have a question, potential solution. Why doesn't California allow, or even better, encourage the use of gray water from the sink, showers, and washing machines for outdoor watering on all new construction, or at least allow it?
So there are some, I think that's a local ordinance, and certain cities do allow gray water systems in their communities. I don't know the guidelines or the regulations here in the city of Coronado. I'd have to look it up and see if that's even possible. But there are some health standards that you need to meet. The Department of Health and the drinking water standards. There are some things that you need to put into place to have a gray water system at your home. But that's a good question. I can look into that for you.
I think what he's saying is California requires you to use solar on new construction.
Right.
Why not require gray water on new construction?
That's a good question. That would be a question for the governor and the legislature. But I'm happy to take that back and talk with the assembly member here and talk with the state senator here and raise that with them. That's a great idea.
The next question is from Zoom. Why is Wednesday a non-water day, not one of the 3 days you can water?
So we picked Wednesday just because it falls in the middle of the week. And if you notice, we spread the 3 days out even and odd so that there wouldn't be a drawdown on our system. It wouldn't stress our water system. We don't want everybody to turn their irrigation system on all at once and water outdoors, because then we would potentially have a challenge with being able to meet demand on any given day.
Any further questions?
One more.
Oh, okay,
Two more.
We have two. Here we go.
I'll talk to you later.
I'm happy to talk with you.
I just wondered, did the wildfires, all the water they use, what effect did that have on our water that we use?
In Northern California, the fires in Northern California. Yeah, I don't know what they used to the source of water where they got from, but I do know that the water that we get here was not impacted by the water that, no, it was not, as far as I'm aware of.
Probably recycled water.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I do know that the fire department works, has their guidelines and can pull water from fire hydrants. They can pull it from reservoirs. They have tankers that they can get water from a reservoir with the big airplanes. But I believe that it did not impact our water that we get here in San Diego region.
Facility,
Which facility?
Southern California, the facilities that they use.
So the reservoirs, water comes from Sacramento, and some of the reservoirs in Los Angeles County, the water that's in those reservoirs does come all the way down here to San Diego. Yes, so we do get some water from those reservoirs. We do.
Thank you. Final question.
Brian, I'm not sure many people are aware that in California,
One moment, please.
Do we have another?
and I was aware that California water usage, we've spent an hour talking about residential use. Residential and industrial use in California is 10% of the state's water usage.
Yes.
About 40% agriculture and more than 50% to the environment.
Mhm.
Replenish the rivers, reduce pumping rates to protect the delta rivers, the smelt. Have there been any reductions in that allocation in these drought conditions? Your slide of July 2022 is pretty compelling.
Yeah, so the water that the Metropolitan Water District brings down from the San Joaquin Delta into the Los Angeles region that eventually ends up down here, water from the State Water Project, they are actually getting about only 5% of their allocation at this time due to the drought. And so that's why in Northern California, in the Los Angeles County region, the Ventura County region, those utilities that are dependent on specifically state water project water, they've asked them to implement mandatory one-day watering a week. So that is so that the state can continue to meet the 55 gallons health and safety standards that's in place. They feel that going to one-day watering will allow the Metropolitan Water District to continue to meet demand within their member agencies. So they are only getting 5% of the 100% allocation that they normally get within a water calendar year. It's a good question.
Brian, thank you for your fine presentation.
Thank you. I'll be around if anybody has any questions.
Standard practice, Brian, we want to
Oh,
give
thank
you a
you.
nice pen set
Thank you.
so that you'll always remember the Coronado Roundtable. Now, this, what to me was a very interesting program, because here is the speaker who said, give me your questions, I'll get back to you. And listen, this, like I said, this man has whiskers. He's good at what he does. You may follow up with him as needed. Thank you very much,
thank
Brian.
you.
What a great presentation.
Thank you for being here. Take care. I have business cards. If anybody wants to take my business card, it's got my mobile number, my email address, and everything. So please, I'll get them for you.
Oh, that was great. You really
Is that
did a
okay?
great job.